Welcome to Angry Me Production.
Out whatever we don't get right.
Yeah, pretty much. Because and we're on. Welcome to Angry Me Production.
Yeah, this is David, and I'm Michael.
No, actually, I was thinking about doing the introductions at the end.
Of the introductions at the end. Isn't that kind of backwards?
No, not really. A lot of people actually do it. So. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck to talk about.
No, we don't ever have anything good to talk about.
Except that one time with the midget. Little person.
That wasn't a good conversation. That was we're seriously bored conversation.
No, it wasn't. That's sad.
Have you been looking up all of the doppelgangers on the internet?
No, not anymore. That was funny though. It did look like I, didn't it? Oh god, this is so fucking boring. All right, we got a minute and 32 second. Well, actually, a minute and 40 seconds on this. Well, what we're going to talk about is weapon restrictions, mainly because today, January 20th, they did the whole 2A protest up in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
There was actually some people. There actually were 3 arrests prior of the protest, but it was they literally preempted the arrest of 3 white supremacists that were going to go to the rally. But other than that, it was it was a peaceful protest.
Most of the people who are going to be carrying firearms or even the ones that are looking to, use or own them in most cases, they're rather peaceful people. They're not.
Yeah, most people that actually arm themselves, even cops and police department, don't really want to kill people. I mean, you do have that one asshole that's in the corner and is shaking all the freaking time, going up and saying, "We're going out! We're going out!" No.
Yeah, well,
in all reality, most people that have actually seen combat or actually been in a situation where they had to fire their weapon usually didn't want to do it in the first place.
It comes back to something I've said a long time ago. It's, and I hear people argue with me when I say it. Instead of sitting here trying to say, oh, we need to enforce gun rights, we should actually be enforcing more societal mental health checks.
Well, okay.
Because the only way to cut the violence is to nip it.
Well, actually, it's to know who actually is that type of person. And a lot of, like Switzerland, they do it one way, where everybody, once they turn 18, they have to go in and join the military. And usually by that time, when they do evaluations and find out who is going to snap at any good time, but that is more realistic to where we have to, one, educate ourselves with firearms. Apparently, we're not in the time frame back in, I think the earliest time frame was like 1890, where anybody that had a gun used it more or less for either A, hunting, or B, personal protection for their homestead.
Well, realistically, we still live in a time where we've got basically one of 3 uses for a gun. A, personal protection. B, protection of the home. And C, sport.
Yeah. And there is a lot of sports out there. I mean,
I don't know, hunting now is a sport because, you take your grocery stores and things like that.
no. Well,
There are less people who hunt to survive than there are who hunt for sport.
That is true. Okay, I see what you're coming from on that one. But
even then, whether you want to call it I'm hunting an animal for sport, or whether you want to say I just like to go down to the range and practice shooting a target, they're both good sports.
yeah.
And it shouldn't matter what type of gun you want to have to go down to the range and shoot targets. Now, our second constitution, or our Second Amendment right, was put in place for a completely different set of reasons that some of the people in our government probably want to get rid of at this point, because our right to bear arms is so if the government ever becomes overly oppressive, we would have the means to stand up to them.
Yeah. And we showed them. Yeah. And Richmond, Virginia, everybody showed up. And some of them had two, most of them had one. And there was even one person that even said to him, to the media, it's like, hey, I'm only carrying a 22. I have an AK-47. I have an AR, but I'm not going to bring something like that. I'm not expecting to shoot anybody. I really am not. I'll carry this 22 just to show my support, which, in my opinion, that's good. It's still good.
You can't disagree with that. I mean,
he went up knowing that it's going to be a peaceful protest. I'm not going to use this. I mean, he still had a 9mm on his side, but he knew what this was. It was a peaceful protest. It wasn't going out and hey, we need these rights because we just want it. No, it's to show that, hey, we're being responsible here. The good guys are being responsible. You just can't handle the bad guys having the guns. And that's going from people that actually have mental problems to the fact that there are illegal and criminal organizations that have this weapon problem.
But you can't say that, because realistically, any politician in his right mind should realize if it's a criminal and they want a gun, it doesn't matter if you make it illegal, because they don't care if it's legal or not.
Yeah.
They're going to get the gun.
Oh yeah. Or they could just follow Obama with or Operation Fast and Furious, and they basically just pay for it. Did you ever hear about that?
Mm-mm.
Operation Fast and Furious was New Mexico, Arizona. I don't think people in Texas did it, but in those areas, the ATF let the gun owners, legal, law-abiding gun owners, or not gun owners, but gun shops, sell to people that didn't have the proper documentation, basically illegal aliens or Mexican cartel, sell the guns to them, which the whole thing was illegal, and they crossed the border over with the cartels, because this is literally what the thinking of the Obama administration was. If we let this happen, we can find these guns and arrest them for them when they're in Mexico. The whole sham was illegal, and what was really sad is if you went after the actual gun shops. Well, you told me to do this. ATF came up to my store, said, "Hey, we want you to do this." Most of those probably gun owners probably gonna like, "What? Are you sure?" No. This is catch-22. You're gonna bust me for something. I'm not doing that. But it was all legal, and they ended up. Oh God, I can't even give you which they sold.
It sounds ridiculous. Like I said, it really is, in my opinion. We need to be more focused on mental health checks, whether people think that violates their rights or not, because it has to do with the health of the nation. More to the effect of, we've got everybody crying about health insurance this and health insurance that and guns, and why don't we just fix all the problems in one go? We have mandatory health checks that include mental health checkups.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
And if a person cannot maintain that, then no, they can be flagged by law enforcement as, if you see this person acting suspiciously, detain them.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many they actually did. But here's the thing with that. It's like voting on red flag laws or anything that more or less has hearsay. Like,
well, see, and I wasn't talking about hearsay. I was talking
well,
about
no. Okay. The whole thing is, okay, I'm going to you to get evaluated for my I can't even say it. The see if I'm sane enough.
No. The mental health checks wouldn't be to see if you're sane enough to carry a weapon. It would strictly be, are you mentally cohesive enough to process society as a whole?
Okay.
In other words, a lot of these problems don't start with somebody that's having a problem with this or that. It's people who have a problem and they need it addressed to begin with, and because that problem never gets addressed, it eventually snowballs until you've got a single mom or whatever, wandering around in Walmart filling it up with denatured alcohol and nails.
That was freaking hilarious. What he's talking about is last Friday? No, it was later than that. Hold on, let me find this crap out.
My main point there is it doesn't matter what weapon you want to use. If you've got a mental instability that's going to push you over that line, it should be found early enough. And if you're pushing that line, people should have more than enough reason to detain you. Not arrest you, not throw you in jail, but at least detain you long enough to find out
she was ugly.
What's going on?
Okay, and in retrospect, what he's talking about, a woman building bomb, that actually did happen. Emily Stollard, 37, tried to detonate in the store Saturday. I guess it was last Saturday. Saturday the 15th. No, 15th. That was Wednesday. Okay, the story popped up on the 15th, so it happened on 12th?
14, 13, 11. Yeah, I think the 12th.
No, it happened on the 11th.
The 11th?
Okay. It happened on the 11th. And what had happened is this woman goes around Walmart, one with her child, picks up stuff to make a bomb. She wanted to make a bomb. And she got projectiles, matches, flammable material, I guess they didn't want to say what actually she was getting, but what she was actually getting was just basically rubbing alcohol.
Well, denatured alcohol, from what I've heard, but I don't really know what she filled the jar up with. But basically,
mason jar. She put nails in it. She was just making a pressure. Yeah, that would more or less be a pressurized bomb if it actually was going to work or something like that.
Well, and I'm not going to go too in depth into the physics on it, but it would make a fireball, but it would not have made an explosion the way.
Well, I think what she wanted to do. No, I think what she wanted to do was kind of make more or less of like a claymore or a grenade.
Yeah, well,
something explodes and you got shrapnel.
It wouldn't have done that.
Okay, that's what she was going for. She would have caused some damage.
Basically, the way she was putting it together, from what I understand, no, not 100%, but from what I understand, it would have created a rather large fire. It looked kind of like dropping napalm on a small area and lighting a match.
Yeah, okay. Pretty much true. Another thing we were going to talk about is they're not really trying to... Okay.
So, back to what we were trying to talk about is, I think our big solution to this is going to be making sure we get mental health issues taken care of for these people, because that's the only way we can nip it in the bud. I mean,
and what I'm saying on this is basically you have stuff like what happened in Nazi Germany. That's what people are really afraid of. Most people can't even remember that, but when it comes around to it, it's like a social worker was talking about. There was this woman that she had like 13 kids, and the state couldn't do anything about it because it really can't force anybody to get a hysterectomy or any kind of forced birth control to where this person can't have any kids, and the person was mentally ill, and anytime she had a kid, she got the kid taken away. We can't do anything about it really, because if you do something like that, it's really inhumane. Although in hindsight, it's more humane to get something like that done to that person, because hey, you're mentally unstable, you shouldn't have kids, and it's really the worst case scenario. But in our reality, you can't do that because it really goes against what we're supposed to do in a more humane style.
Well, and I understand where you're coming from there, but you think about it. There are certain certifications that we have to get on a regular basis anyway, like our driver's license. Do you want some suicidal maniac driving their car down the middle of the interstate into oncoming traffic?
No.
It's definitely just as lethal as any gun you want to purchase.
It is.
And
it actually has more deaths for drunk drivers and everything.
Yeah, and then there's, you drunk drivers and other people who drive under the influence of various different compounds. I mean, you think about all of the stuff that happens at the schools. If we had adequately trained people capable of identifying these are the symptoms of a mental issue, and thereby being able to flag somebody as, we need to be able to watch this person. I'm not talking about taking away any of their rights. I'm just saying this person now needs to be observed, and depending on how said observation goes, what help can we get them? Because it's obvious they need help.
Yeah. Well, that's like when we're working corrections. When we're working corrections, it was more or less we had to figure out every day that we showed up on those pods. Hey, is anybody out there gonna stab us? Probably, but I didn't have any problems with that.
I didn't have any problems with it either, but on the same token, I kept an eye out for those people that were showing abnormal signs for the environment.
Yeah.
And we had the ability to isolate those people or send them for attention if they needed it. It's not like we were punishing them. We were actually sending them to get medical attention if they needed the medical attention.
Yeah. But we're not, and even in there, we didn't have really good medical, therapeutic stuff.
That I won't disagree with. Even there, we didn't have properly trained people capable of doing the job that was necessary. But the ones that were there did the best they could.
What we're looking at right now is if you go, I'll try to put it in the link in the description. But what we're looking at right now is a photo of how many people were actually at the Richmond rally. And it's staggering. I mean, I would hate to be one of those police, state police or any kind of police at that. Not that, I wouldn't do anything. It would be more or less overpowering. But
you see, it wouldn't have bothered me that much.
It wouldn't bother me that much because probably most of the people I would know.
No, it's more that, I'm willing to bet the majority of the police there were on the same side as the protesters.
Yeah.
They already knew that this was to be a peaceful protest. I mean, how else can you say that they managed to catch 3 people who were trying to turn it into something else before it got stupid?
Well, there was even a video I seen that it was, what had happened was someone was popping off saying, we'll kill these people, and a lot of the people that were, it's like, whoa, we have guns, we need to calm down right now, we don't want to hurt anybody with these guns. Why are you saying stuff like that? And they were trying to cause a big ruckus about that. About the people that were trying to initiate people to fire.
But that goes back to, what I keep trying to reiterate. I think those people have mental health problems. I mean, honestly, you can look at it and say, oh, that's just racism, but racism or secularitarianism or whatever you want to call it, I forget what that other word is, but
for what?
For the ones who think that anyone that's not the same color as them is evil or wrong.
Oh, that's straight up racism.
Well, there was another name for it, but anyways, but yeah, you can't consider that to be anything more than a mental disorder. Well, at least I can't. We all breathe the same air, we all speak the same language, we all bleed the same color. The day you cut somebody and they start bleeding green, I might question what planet they're from, but I'm not going to question. As long as they're treating me decently, I'm not going to question whether they're better than me or not.
Yeah, most of the people that I know are actually better than me. Not that I'm a horrible person, but I end up saying some really weird and messed up stuff all the time.
You've just got a bad sense of humor.
I got a really dark humor. But in hindsight, there's another thing that I don't like about this is they're just saying, I was like, is the Democrats most Democrats, yes, are trying to mandate to have your guns taken away. But in all reality, there's some Democrats out there. It's like, I don't want them to take my guns. Why would I want them to take my guns? In hindsight, most of the conservatives and right wing side are the ones that do say, hey, we need to protect our gun rights, we need to protect these rights, but it really is people on both sides, really.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily sit there and say I think it's one political party over another. I think it's just bad politics in general and misinformation in the public.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said before, you take away the guns, who's going to be the only ones with guns? Well, that's going to be your military and your criminals.
Yeah.
And then what are we going to have? Well, we're going to have war in the streets.
I mean, you can kill a person with a rock. I mean, there's an instance in the Bible I know of that did that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't. I still like how big place in New York they're actually learning how to throw axes because, well, in New York New York and California and Chicago and Washington to an extent are really heavy on gun restrictions, but the Jewish community started actually learning how to throw axes. I mean, you can't stop people from trying to protect themselves. It's either A, learning how to throw axes, or B, trying to figure out how to use your own body to defend yourself.
I mean,
not in massive amounts like most martial arts movie where it shows like one guy taking out 20. I guarantee you, I would run. I would run faster than anything. 20 people trying to attack me? Yeah, we're gonna have to take this on a long road. Because I'm not gonna. But people want to protect themselves with stuff, and I hate to say this, but it's gonna take you about 20 minutes to get a cop to you. And in all reality, cops nowadays, because how far-fetched we are on the location of where each cop is at each location or each part of town, they're not going to get to you in a time. And it's not anything against cops. I mean, they're trying their best. They really are. But what the problem is getting there on time. You get, after the call is taken, you're looking at like a 5-minute leeway. In 5 minutes, I can probably guarantee you that even a person that knows what they're doing, even if they're armed, quite possibly won't even be able to defend themselves. I mean, it's depending on if you're willing to fire the weapon. And if you're willing to fire the weapon in that kind of situation, your fight or flight takes in. You either run, and if you're in your own home, most people live in a small apartment or a small house. If you can get into the back door, get into the back door. Reason why you hear a lot of the 911 calls, oh, get to a secure area. Yeah, get to a secure area. We can defend yourself. And if you're more or less likely to die, yeah, run. If you have armed and you're in a good position, like a doorway where you can look at the person.
I'm just a commercial.
Yeah, pause that. Mute it.
Was working on it.
But if you can get it at a security location, like a doorway, where you can see the perpetrator, and get your armaments there, knife, gun, broomstick. It doesn't matter. Get in a safe location where you can actually go in and take the absurd offensive and attack. You know, half the time I don't even know what words I say.
Words we left.
If it's the right word, just comment on it and say you're using that word wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're right.
Here. Let's fast forward to the point. You're gonna like this.
What was he doing?
Fully automatic crossbow.
Oh, fully automatic. Apparently, you can make your own fully automatic crossbow. Holy crap!
All plywood and.
Okay, it's Archery Extreme Ode to Joy. We'll keep the link to that, and we'll put it in the description. It's pretty cool. Just go off on it, you can create any kind of weapon.
You don't need a gun.
It's an automatic crossbow. Oh my god! And it's not shooting it's shooting slower than most guns, but it's still shooting at an alarming rate to where it's probably what? I'd say shooting one out every 1.5 seconds. Not even that, 0.5 seconds.
It's faster than that.
It's got to be 0.5 seconds.
Just give it a second, and then he'll go back to the full speed, and we can count.
Yeah.
But he's got it set where he can run it in slow or fast. Yeah, it's firing like 5 a second.
Well, it just goes to show you if you have the time, you can make any weapon. I mean, I remember one guy had I want to say a paper mache, but it was more or less rolled up magazines, and they made a crossbow in corrections. I mean, talk to any person that's worked in the prison system as a guard or was in prison of what kind of weapons you can make just by what's in your environment right then and there to defend yourself. You'd be surprised. I've seen crossbows. I've seen darts that could go through steel. I mean, I'm talking. They're they're filed so thin that they would go right through a steel. I would say like half an inch of steel, like it was nothing.
Yeah, and then there's inmates making saws out of toilet paper and toothpaste.
Was it toilet paper? I thought it was. What they do is they put dental floss, and they coat it with toothpaste, and it hardens and everything. They make a saw out of that.
Oh, they did it with toilet paper too. They take it and so that the perforations run this way, and then they twist it.
Oh, okay.
They smear it with toothpaste, and then they twist it, and then they twist it tighter. And over a couple of days, they get it twisted down to where it's really, really tight, just like fine string.
Oh, okay.
Except it's coated in the toothpaste.
Yeah, and I've seen a guy go through like a steel fence. One of the God, I can't chain link fence. On all he did was he chivied a little bit, took it, pulled the thing out, opens it up, walks right through.
Needless to say, I don't think banning weapons is the right answer.
Yeah, banning any kind of weapon isn't the answer. Trying to keep it away from the criminals is an answer, but you're still not going to do it because you'll have... It really is hard to... Even in our information age right now, it's pretty hard to actually find out who's bad and who's not bad.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Is I think there should be better ways. I mean, maybe mandatory mental health checks is not the answer, but there should be ways to find the people who need the help and get them the help. Because, in my opinion, most people who are doing criminal acts are just people who need help.
Yeah. Wow. It was like in Batman Beyond, or Batman Begins. I don't know. Most of the people that are criminally or insane have a way to get into the criminal networks. Most of the people that actually are criminals, a lot of the times, it's due to the fact that they want to belong to something.
They either want to belong to something or they have nowhere else to go.
Yeah. So, I guess 30 minutes on this one would probably be good enough.
Yeah.
All right. I'm David Dickerman, and this is
Michael Moffitt.
And this is Angry Me Productions. Thank you for watching.